Commission meeting. I'll call this meeting to order. First order of business is Pledge of Allegiance. Okay. So first order of business is the meeting minutes from our January 24th meeting. Does anyone on the commission have any comments around the minutes? Any public comment? I will make a motion to approve the meeting minutes. Do I have a second? All in favor? Aye. Thank you. Next item, consent agenda. So we have 933 Wooten. So this is a renovation and expansion, 45 cubic yards of dirt to remain on site, 0 trees to be removed. Are there any comments from members before we make a motion?
Yeah, Kristen and I did the inspection and evaluation of the application, and I went on the property as well. So it's a large lot. It's a 1 acre lot that is very deep, and the trees, most of the trees, almost all the trees except one, are in the periphery of the lot, so they're on the borders. So the shade tree protection fencing was adequate, in my opinion, and the construction entrance is going to be at a spot on the lot that's where there aren't any trees in the front yard, and there's going to be 2 stockpiles that are not around trees. So that's why it's on consent.
Sounds good. Thank you. Any other comments?
Can you just confirm the street address for me?
Yes, 933 Wooten.
That's another one.
Thank you.
No problem. Any public comment? I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda. Do I have a second? All in favor? Aye. So 6 yeses, 1 no. Or abstain? Abstainment? Yes, thank you. Okay. Next, new grading permits. So do we have anyone from 309 Overhill with us this evening? Good evening. Go ahead and come up to the podium. Just introduce yourself, relation to the project. And typically what we would do is have you have plans. Do you have any plans with you this evening?
I do not have.
Okay.
Do not have plans.
Ian, if you're behind the curtain and can hear me, is there any chance you could bring up 309 Overhill? While that's happening, if you could just introduce yourself, the project, and it looks like 2 trees to be removed, and then we'll just go over a couple of things with you.
Sure. My name is Chris Moore. I'm a partner of XL Builders, and we are building a house at 309 Overhill Road.
If you could speak into the mic too, thank you. So the 2 trees to be removed, do you happen to know the DBH or diameter at breast height of those 2 trees?
Approximately. There's a little confusion
Okay.
with this whole process, why I'm even here. I was already here on behalf of the owner,
Okay.
September 27th,
Mm-hmm.
and it was approved
Okay,
to remove these 2 trees.
sure. So what has changed between then and now?
Nothing.
Okay.
It's very strange.
Well, here's something. We asked you for identifications of the trees on the property, and we approve you with that coming back to the township, and that's the only. So it's still not on the plans.
The species
The
has
species, yes.
not. At the September 27th meeting, the engineer was here, and he actually responded, I'm pretty certain.
No, I watched it, and he didn't know.
He did not?
No.
He did not.
He said he would get that information.
Gotcha. Got it.
Yeah, that's accurate.
That's accurate, and what
Okay.
Trish told me is that they were here before for a demo permit, and this is now the grading permit. So it
Understood.
may be 2 different, same form, but 2 different things.
Sure, okay, understood.
I was not aware that the species was not conveyed.
Sure, so, I mean, that should be an easy fix. And we did look at the plans prior. So I'm thinking we can probably make a motion to approve contingent upon getting the updated plans with the species. Second that. Perfect, okay,
I can provide that as early as tomorrow.
great, that sounds good. All in favor? Aye. All right, thank you so much, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Sorry to have you come out.
Not a problem. Thanks.
Okay, next address on the agenda, 909 Wooten Road. Good evening. Good, how are you? This is a addition project, 250 cubic yards of dirt to be taken off site, 3 trees to be removed. Just introduce yourself, relation to the project, and give us a brief overview.
No problem. My name's Christopher Darhun, Darhun Construction. I came before you a few years back. We were going to build actually a 12,000 square foot house on this property. We got approval from you, from Shade Tree. We ended up going forward and taking down the trees, got everything, and then the economy hit with COVID and everything like that. So we had to pivot. At that juncture, we ended up getting a client that wanted us to rehab the home so that they could bring their family from Chicago here. With that being said, we did the revisions to the plan, putting I think it's 21 by 21 addition on the back of the existing home. And off to the side, there's an existing patio that we're going to take the existing patio and make it smaller, but put an addition, like an office onto it. With that being said, we're going to keep the same amount of trees that we were going to do in the first originally plan back in the day. I think it was like 20 trees or whatever. We're going to put those back on the property too. So we already took down the existing trees. So, I mean, it's just right to put back what we were going to take, so.
Do you have your plans with you to show us those trees?
I do not have the plans with me, but it will be the plans that were on file for the existing.
Yeah, John, this would have been on the consent agenda except for one item, because they have shade tree protection fencing up. That's probably the original.
It is.
Because it looks like it's been there a while. But there's a 60-inch tree that was taken. So I forgot that these guys had another phase of doing this. So that's why I wanted them to come before us, because I wanted a story about the 60-inch tree. Like, when did that go? Why did it go? But now
Because was that not previously approved?
it was previously, I guess it was previously approved, right?
It was, and we had all intentions of knocking down the building. In fact, my financing was there, but we had a buyer, they backed out, and the home, like I say, was priced at $4 million. But again, the economy hit and we had to pivot. Financing kind of went south, and then we just decided to rehab the property, and, unfortunately.
So the 3 trees, are those to be removed, or have
They have been removed from the existing project, from the previous project.
Okay.
But with those 3, we are replacing with 20 trees along the back of the property. That the original plan that shows the replacement of trees, we're still keeping with that original plan. Our intention was never to deviate from that plan.
And that 60-inch tree is in those calculations?
Yes, it is.
Okay, because that's 6 trees in itself.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
The
Yeah, that actually is, that 60-inch tree was actually right on the corner of the existing home of where the patio on the side of the house had to be removed anyway. So you had, actually, if we dug down into it, we would have hit the root, what they call the drip line, and killed the tree itself. With that being said, we just, I don't mind replacing trees and putting more trees if we had to. I mean, if you came back and said we want 5 more trees,
We want 5 more trees.
Do you? I'll give you 5 more trees. I even
You said it, we'll take 'em.
I will even donate them if you want 5 more trees.
Absolutely.
We'll take 'em.
5 more trees for a total of 25.
That's fine.
So speaking of trees, I'm looking at your plans and the replacement tree formula. I am seeing replacement trees to be provided was 29 trees, with 14 being large canopy.
Okay, it's 29. I apologize. I thought it
So
was-
those 29 are going back in?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
And those are to be planted? They haven't been planted yet?
They haven't been planted yet
Okay.
because, like I said, with everything,
Sure, understood.
it kind of,
I get it,
Yeah.
yep.
The tree table, is that updated? Doesn't it have like 6 trees on it? You know, the tree table, right, the planning
Yeah.
schedule.
If you want, I can actually have Gattani Engineering put in a letter
Total tree replacement, 10
The-
trees was.
that will put back the original amount of trees and stuff like that, if that's not on the existing plan.
Yeah, so the planting schedule just indicates 10 trees.
Okay.
And the replacement formula indicates 29. Do you recall if, I'm assuming possibly the original plan, because it was an addition, you might have done a fee in lieu of for those additional 19 trees?
No, the original plan was, like I say, we were knocking down the house
Sure.
itself, and the entire footprint was going to be massive. And like I said, we're keeping this existing. By replacing, we'll keep with the original plan of replacement and stuff. you
Sure,
know.
understood.
And if
Okay.
that isn't on the plan, what I'll do is I'll have Mike Sioka of Gattani Engineering send a letter, but hopefully we can allow that, approval, and then, contingent upon getting a letter of that.
Yeah, I think that'll be okay. And just one last clarification.
Sure.
So the plans, all of the removals and replacements are the exact same of what they were
From the original, yes.
on the original. The only thing that is different is the structure itself.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Okay, understood.
Well, at least it's a nice family coming in, so,
Yep.
it's,
Hey, that's all that matters.
They actually, believe it or not, they're running a place next street over. And, they approached me and were begging me to, and
There you go.
honestly, I don't do renovations because it's another can of worms that you can open up, but,
Yeah, they'll be
It was
close
just-
by to monitor progress, too.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Okay, any other comments on this project?
Yeah, just to be clear, how many trees, it says 3 on the form, on the thing today,
yeah.
and then there's, how many before, 29 before?
Well, we're replacing with 29. We took down the three trees.
So in
Three or four.
total, there's only 3 trees?
Yeah, it
removed.
was just one of the trees was a very large tree that we took down, and that was actually on the corner of the.
No, I understand that
yeah.
part. I'm just saying, in total,
Yeah.
from the time you had the house until today, only 3 trees have been removed?
Correct,
Okay,
correct.
gotcha.
All right.
And we're replacing with.
Do we know the sizes of those trees? Does it say it on there?
Yes, so, yeah, for the record, there's a 24-inch tree, a 60-inch tree, and a 15-inch tree. And now that I'm rereading this, so that comes out to be 10 trees, 6 being large canopy.
So
And,
where's the 29 coming from?
right, so I think the 29 was what you were going to replant
Yeah, I
on
mean,
top of what was required.
yeah, we're doing that anyway. We're putting
Just to
a
clarify.
screening behind with green giants in the back, and it's usually comes out to about, I know the house next door, 905 that we did, we ended up putting 20 trees back in the back. And then we put sporadic trees around the entire property itself, so.
The one thing, so I don't know that that being said, I don't know that we need you to have the plans updated to show those additional 19 species, because that's on top of what the requirement is. But what I don't see is the species of the trees on the plan. So that would be a quick and easy update. So I think we're all on the same page now, unless anyone has any other questions. Make sense? Okay, so I'll make a motion to approve.
One thing,
Shit.
sorry.
Yeah,
Just,
sure.
are you going to stick with that planning schedule with those species of trees? I saw.
Yeah, I mean, here's my thing, I mean, whatever
You're
trees
not
were.
going to plant all green giants?
Oh, gosh, no,
Okay.
no. Whatever was on the plan, we'll place. The green giants was actually, because you got St. Aloysius behind, and there's a buffer right now that's just, it's not maintained.
Yeah.
It just gives you, a
Just want to make sure
clean
they're
look.
supposed to be by the ordinance for large canopy trees.
Correct,
You have them on
correct.
the table, I just want to.
No, we'll go by what's on the table, and like we did next door and all that stuff,
Perfect,
so.
thanks.
And just for the record, so we have it, the replacement schedule. So we have some Yoshino cherries, sweet magnolia, American linden, Japanese zelkova, and some green giants. Okay, any other comments? Any public comment? I will make a motion to approve contingent upon adding the species to the removal table and the plans themselves. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Appreciate
much.
it.
I appreciate it. Have a good evening.
You too. Okay, next address, 851 Tall Oaks. So we have 37 cubic yards of dirt to remain on site, a pavilion deck and shed, 66 trees to be removed.
How many?
Recuse myself.
Good evening, ladies, gentlemen. How are we again? Good to see you. So my name is Daniel Bramhall. I'm the principal of Scope Landscape Architecture here in Bryn Mawr, and we're working with the owners of 851 Tall Oaks to essentially enhance their currently overgrown lot, as we showed to you before. So in this case, as I mentioned last time, we've gone back. We've now got the grading plans and all the grading permit in, and we're here again seeking approval from you guys to give us the clearing permit so that we can get the ball rolling.
Great. And when you were here previously, I think we had a few requests. Could you walk us through kind of what was changed to the plans and what additional information you have provided?
Yeah, so what has changed actually since the engineer has gone in and graded, there's 4 additional trees that have been added to that previous list. There were 62 in the previous submission, they're now 64. The downside to that, unfortunately, is one of those is a heritage, so it's 33-inch. But we've tabulated that in the table in terms of compensatory trees. Nothing has changed with the design. Overall, it was just minor grading fixes that we had to deal with. And the other thing you asked for was, I believe it was a arborist report, which we did provide in the last meeting. And then you asked for additional arborist report, and you also asked that your arborist, John, here would go out to the property and review it in person. I honestly don't know whether that's been done.
It has not. I was waiting for the arborist report from you guys first.
We've already submitted that during the last submission.
I never got it. I don't think I got it.
Okay, well,
Leah, do you know if that ever came through?
I do know Mike Dunn, who was our consulting arborist on the project, has
I don't know, I'll
spoken
have
to
to
you,
look into
hopefully.
it tomorrow.
He told me he has.
Okay.
I believe in the preliminary he spoke with me. We have not spoke about tree by tree.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's okay, but I believe that it was that ball in your court to organize the site meeting?
No, so the trigger for that is to receive the report with photos and the application filled out.
Oh, right, yeah. We've got additional photographs here, and the client's actually requested that rather than go through all this, because last time, if you recall, we divided it out into invasive species, potentially hazardous, dead, all the rest of that stuff. We've still got the dead ones, but we've just, for simplifying this project and hopefully to get it moving, we've just lumped the table together. This is how many we're removing, this is how many we're replacing, and that's where we're at. Rather than complicate matters, we just want to keep it simple. Okay, so we do have photographs of the lot here, which you should be able to see. So we can see it's densely populated with trees. You know, a lot of which are very close to the house, they're very tall. And again, it's a mixture. We know the mixture at this point. It's Norway maple, it's tulip poplar, it's, you know, a few black cherries, etc. So I can just show you the images of what the site is currently looking like. So as you can see, it's just challenging to use in general, challenging to maintain, and that's really where we're at. This is why we're here, and this is why the clients want to invest heavily in updating their property, as well as life safety. And I did want to show you, just for context, here's one of the neighboring properties, which butts right up to their lot, which is a clean, fresh lawn. Again, just for context. So we do have the photographs, and that's really where we stand today.
So I'm looking at the plans and in your tree replacement calculations on
Yep,
sheet 2 of 4.
Yep.
Yeah. So you have listed out of the 66, there are 2 that are dead.
Yeah, 2 that are dead, so we haven't included those in the calculation at all.
Sure. So do you know if those were submitted along with the hazardous tree report?
Yeah, that was submitted in the previous submission.
Sure, okay. Do you recall if, I'm not remembering if we actually did, was that submitted at the time of review and did we review it, or was it submitted after the fact?
Submitted after the fact.
Okay.
Request. Specifically for the dead ones. Like I say, these other
Sure.
complicated, potentially hazardous thing, that's,
Okay.
I don't know whether it's largely subjective at this point. But we kept those out and just did a lump sum. Removal, replacement.
Okay.
Dead, leave those out.
So we're really just talking about 2 hazard trees that need to be
Yeah.
investigated. The others in your table are being replaced as the formula.
As the formula requires, however, the canopy trees, the client is offering to pay in lieu. Given the current state of the site and the current tree replacement schedule, the site won't be able to handle them. We have to put more than is currently there.
Sure. Could you walk me through, so I'm looking at the required trees.
Yeah.
So for 6 to 18, we're replacing with 36 any size.
Any size, so we've got,
So one specificity to that outside of understory or canopy would be, these need to be 2.5-inch caliper trees, just
That's fine.
as a note?
yeah, we've seen that, and in our bid drawings, that's in there. We can add them to this table, that's not a problem, and just email an updated copy.
Sure. Yeah, I think that would be a good clarification, because if someone reads any size, they may not put 2 and 2 together.
Yeah.
That
Okay,
means
understood.
understory. or
Understory versus canopy.
Yeah. And then from 19 to 29-inch trees, there's 27 coming out, so that requires 3 replacement, or 5 total replacement, 2 being large canopy, 54 canopy proposed, and then 27.
Again, at 2.5 inch, right?
Right, other trees, and then 1 heritage tree, which requires 6 replacement trees, 4 being large canopy, and 4 canopy and 2 any size. So how many of the 58 canopy trees is the client proposing to pay fee in lieu of?
All of them.
All of them? Interesting, okay. So
No trees are going back on site.
Yes, a large number of understory trees, so we're going to be planting native understory trees. Again, we're going to be keeping the perimeter
Got it.
canopy, but we're going to open up the center of the lot, so it's more usable.
Sure.
There's an existing pool there, they can't get to it, it's just a challenging lot. So we're keeping as many as we can on the perimeter, and then bringing the canopy down to a more human scale and inside the lot.
But there is an argument to say where, rather than totally clearing out the canopy, you could selectively pick out some canopy and retain large trees,
There
right?
is a potential argument, but that's an argument, right? We're hitting the requirements
Sure.
legally.
Yeah, understood. I mean, at the end of the day, the homeowner has their rights, but also, we're here for a reason. at the
Yeah,
same time,
and
right?
the clients understand that too. Their concern is they have a lot of trees on site right now that could potentially cause a hazard in the future. That's an unknown, right? So they're worried about that. So their whole idea is they want to enhance their property as best they see fit. And again, like you say, that is their prerogative. They do have their rights. Now, what else to tell you on that?
Sure.
And the fee in lieu will allow the township to plant those trees elsewhere as they see fit.
Sure, but, we're taking away canopy from one area and moving it somewhere else, which, we'll always accept trees, but, so that 58 times 250, it's about $14,500?
Yep.
Okay, and you've spoken with the owners around this, and
Absolutely,
that's
there's no way
their
I'd be here
prerogative?
without talking
Okay.
to them.
Sure. I need to think on this one for a minute, but are there any other comments or questions?
Yeah,
from the
so,
commission?
so in in the site visit that Kristen and I do, so
Oh, so somebody has been to the site?
I just, the street.
You guys have been?
Well, we do. we
Oh,
do
like a
all-
drive-by? Understood.
yeah. So you can't, on this side, it's a little tough because
Everything's in the back.
everything's in the back. But if you look at the survey, everything's in the back away from everything else. So it's a copse. It's a copse of tall trees. I surveyed 6,500 trees or 6,000 trees for Radnor. They look pretty healthy, John. I gotta tell you, I don't see a lot of, the canopy is really good on these trees. And they're all tulips, you know, I would say
Not
predominantly
all.
tulips.
I mean, there's
Yeah.
17 Norway
So-
maples in there.
So my thought was, my initial thought, sitting in the road, was, why is this applicant, they're not taking the trees because the trees are over the house or anything. The trees are in a corner of the lot. Why-
Some of
so-
them
so-
granted.
So what ran through, so it's obviously a clear cut. You guys are clear cutting it?
They want to, yeah, I mean, they want to use some of
I mean,
that
I just think
lot.
we should use the right terms, right terminology. This is not selective pruning of trees, or,
I never,
you're taking every tree in that little triangle down.
of course, I did mention that. We're clearing the center of the lot and we're keeping the perimeter. That's the language I
And it's in
used.
your right to do that,
Right.
right? But my sensitivity to it is just, gosh, it would be nice if you could leave 20, out of the 52, but that's not really our position, right? To tell people what to do, right?
No, I mean, we do have some stances that we can take within our ordinance specific to heritage trees. But I definitely want to get some feedback from the rest of the commission first. And one question I do have, out of the 66 trees, how many trees are on the lot in total? Did you do that count?
Yes, it should be on, oh, 1 second,
No
gentlemen.
problem.
John, you have not been to this site?
I have not yet.
Okay.
91.
91, so about three
I mean, it's
quarters.
two-thirds, yeah.
Right, two-thirds. Any other questions or thoughts from members?
I'd be curious if John is able to visit the site. John, what your thoughts are. To me, that strikes me as a lot of trees. And I recognize that it is within the owner's right, but thinking from a spatial perspective of trees across Radnor County with that lawn next door, you are losing a lot of canopy in that particular area. That gives me a little bit of pause. So keeping some of those perimeter trees away from the structure to mitigate or minimize potential damage would be really important from my perspective as a forest ecologist and someone who does a lot of research and thinks a lot about this kind of stuff. And I think I would really appreciate John's perspective if you think you have time to get out there, especially on those perimeter trees that might be further away from the proposed development.
Just have Michael Dunn give me a call, we'll get out there, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, ASAP is the sort of soup du jour at this point,
Sure. Yeah, I think from a process perspective.
But in terms of approvals, I mean, we are providing everything within the requirements.
Sure, but from a process perspective, we haven't gone through all the procedures just yet, so I don't think we can make a decision this evening, is the issue.
So here's the thing, you said last time we were here, which was in November at this point, that you wanted to get your township arborist out here. All due respect.
Sure, but
That
that
may
didn't
have been
happen.
on-
I apologize.
Well, that's, I mean, come on.
Yeah, yeah. I understand, who knows why that didn't happen, but it didn't happen, and we can't make a decision with an unknown that's still outstanding.
What are you guys
What
trying
is
to
the
find out?
unknown?
I'm not voting on this.
Sure, the unknown would be, those two trees that you have marked as dead that would need to be verified by our arborist as against the hazard tree report need to be verified.
And Michael Dunn or myself is not good enough?
I mean, Michael, we have a submitted arborist report that we paid for. We've tagged every single tree, paid for this, and submitted it to you.
I understand that, but we don't have.
James, you saw the trees are dead?
Yes, all the trees.
Okay, yeah, I mean,
I was on the site.
James has been,
I bid on this
yeah.
project, that's why I'm not voting. I don't even think I'm pretty 99% sure I didn't get the job, at least for the tree removals. So I have nothing at stake here. But this is kind of crazy that it's 3 months now
4.
that you're here. You wanted a hazardous report last time. I had a problem with that because you had it.
We gave you one.
It's the same report that John Hosbeck does for every township project. I don't understand why we're making rules up for different people. It's not right.
We don't have it. We don't see it is the problem.
Township has it. I saw it.
Okay.
I told you guys that.
So let's give an opportunity for public.
I'm sorry,
Yeah,
may I ask
go ahead,
one
sure.
qualifying question?
of
I
course.
think maybe I just misheard it.
Yeah.
I thought you said in the very beginning that you were going to kind of just treat all of the trees by number the same, just for simplicity's sake. So I thought you said 66, whether it was alive or dead. I thought you said
No.
that.
No. In the prior submission, and I can show you
Okay.
these drawings. So when we came before the Shade Tree Commission in our prior request for approval for this, we basically outlined, okay, these are the invasive, these are the potentially hazardous, these are the dead, and we had a sheet for every single one of those. And that was too much, so we simplified it and just said, these are the ones we're removing, potentially hazardous or otherwise, and the dead are separate, which we have here. We have the dead trees, 6 to 18 remove, 19 to 29 remove. It's just a lump figure.
Okay, so in the beginning, I think I was thinking that you were saying we are willing to basically treat them all as if they are alive, and we're not asking for an exception
To the
to the
compensation.
dead and to the others, and we'll
I mean,
just
for the-
pay in lieu of all of them? That's what I thought you were saying in the beginning.
Just
No.
just to make note, the reason why I don't believe I went out there, I was not in attendance of the November meeting, that's why. I was not here
Okay,
for that
yeah, I
meeting.
just wanted to clarify. It
Yeah.
was probably just me not listening.
No, that's fine. I mean, the potentially hazardous and others, yeah. The dead, no, we'll keep those out. That's separate.
But I'm
That's a
just saying,
separate line
You need
item.
somebody to verify that they are dead, they are diseased,
it
right?
has
If
been
you want them
by-
accepted, and you're saying that that already happened.
I mean, Mike Dunn did it, which we paid for a tree survey and report. Hence, knowing that this process had to happen, we did that. And
All right, thank you for
James has been
clarifying.
out there. Of course.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Any public comment?
Yes.
Hi, I'm Christina Peters of 429 King of Prussia Road, and I do have a lot to say about this. First of all, one man's overgrown lot is another man's or another bird's or another animal's habitat, and the canopy is something that our township has specifically decided to protect and promote. So, I'll leave kind of the contempt you show for our process and the goals that we're trying to, I hear overgrown lot, hard to use, maybe dangerous in the future, and I hear, I don't really care about the canopy. That's also what I hear when I say, we're just going to take down all 56 of these perfectly healthy trees and put in little understory trees, which are native and they're nice, but they don't provide the wildlife benefits of a tulip poplar or a black cherry or the trees that you're taking down. So that aside, the presentation aside, I'd like to just make a plea to my neighbors. What we have in Radnor is really special. These heavily wooded lots that we have, they add to the really special atmosphere we have in the town. They help us feel closer to nature. They help us have cleaner air and more interesting places for children to play, and cleaner streams that our kids and citizens can enjoy and now and into the future. The trees that come down lot by lot add to the trees that come down, especially in this part of Radnor, at the properties that Valley Forge is selling off, at Cabrini, at Eastern. These and Fenimore Woods, let's not forget Fenimore Woods. These acts of deforestation add up to change the character of the township over time, to reduce the richness of the environment and wildlife that we enjoy, and that this regulation, the state shade tree regulation, is here to protect. And while this may be as of right in some sense, I really, really ask you, my neighbors, to take another look at this and see, is there a way we can get to our pool and enjoy our pool without removing this for our neighbors and our children and our neighbors' children? Is there a way that we can put in some canopy trees that will be, small trees for the next 20 or 30 years, but mature and beautiful trees at some point in the future? And I'd also like to point out that $14,000 to take out this many trees, we have to change that, Radnor. You shouldn't be able to take this functioning ecosystem and wipe it out for a sum this low. It's a parking ticket. So I really think that we need to think about that, and we also need to think about the role that our approach to hazardous trees has been having on the canopy, both in these lot-by-lot issues and writ large on these larger projects. So neighbors, thank you for listening to me. Commission, please, I hope you take this on board. And you, as you go forward, I hope you are listening to what I'm saying to you as only one of many, many citizens in Radnor who really care about trees and really care about all of the benefits to people and our environment that they support, and see something much more valuable than an overgrown lot in a stand of native trees that are functioning as an environment. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
Here. Laura Luker, Ward 4, and on the Radnor Conservancy. I don't know how anybody can stand up and be positive about this particular plan. This is just, it is a clear cut. It's ridiculous that somebody would buy a home and with tall oaks as its address and want to wipe it all out. It's really sad. I wish that they had a better plan. I would like to see some selective trees that are large canopy be put in, and also be probably some oaks might be a better suggestion for having it come to be the layout of the land. But the problem is that I'm really worried about is you're clear cutting all of your water retention. Even though you guys are high up there, you're not considering anybody else below you. And there's many other properties that are clear cutting just as much, and that whole Gulf Creek is just going to be really in bad shape. It's too bad, because what you're going to plant in is never going to have any effect on that. It's a real shame, and I'm sorry for you guys to make this decision with the rules that you have. I really hope from looking at this, that maybe we can do some ordinance work to make this not happen ever again. It's a shame.
I think if I can try and appease some of your concern with regards to stormwater, there are systems being put in place. There are rain gardens, native species, etc., which are, soil remediation. There are plans to do this kind of thing. Currently, the site is very boggy. It's very clay anyway, so there's a lot of surface runoff anyway. I understand. I understand the ecology of forests too. So there are systems being put in place.
Okay.
I just want to
Good,
make
thank
that
you.
make that
I did
clear.
not know that.
It
was
right.
not on.
Why don't we try to spin a positive? Why don't myself, you, and
Yeah,
Michael
Mike,
Dunn meet on site
homeowners,
and see if we
whoever.
can make some adjustments? I don't know if that's possible.
Again, yeah, I mean, we can try. I mean, it's a client's desire as well.
Sure.
We can.
So I guess the big question at hand is the two dead trees and the hazard tree report process and removal. Is the commission comfortable with James' assessment and others' assessment to possibly make a motion that those 2 dead that are indicated on the plans are sufficiently dead and do not require either a tree to be replaced or fee in lieu of.
I think if we could add to that as well, when we go out, John, we can,
I mean,
we can
James,
look at these trees as
James is
well.
one of the most competent arborists
Yeah.
I know. If he
So-
says they're dead, I'm taking his
Yeah.
word. I think that can be approved tonight.
I'm just trying to add another contingency here.
That can be, I think that can be approved tonight, those 2 trees. I'm never going to disrespect James' decision.
Thanks for the buy.
So James, just for the record, the tree replacement calculations and the 2 that are indicated dead, are you comfortable with that assessment?
Honest answer?
Mike,
I think
please.
you're including
Turn on your mic,
invasive
please.
trees and everything. You're including everything in replacement, so you're replanting more than the ordinance even
Exactly.
asked for.
Yeah.
So I think you're doing that because of the last meeting, through our discussions, and I think it was already
It
there.
was already in there. We were going to plant
Yeah.
more understory than required because we knew
Yeah.
we weren't
So I
gonna
am
be
comfortable because
implementing
there's-
some larger trees.
I don't know if there's 30% more or something like that of trees you're planting.
So
just to be-
Obviously-
real quick, just to
obviously
gather
nobody's
information, because I was not there at that meeting. So because you were not installing canopy trees based on the ordinance, you were adding more caliper inches through understory planting.
Exactly.
Am I
So
gathering that
yeah,
correctly?
we've compensated a little bit with that and then still with the fee in lieu. So we're, yeah.
Seth, was that your
Trying to offset.
understanding in commission?
So, 2 things. One is, I think invasives, which they're not to be excluded,
Exactly, and they're
Right.
not this time.
and they aren't this time.
Fully discussed.
right? And as far as, so the required replacement, the total count, you don't have the total count here, but 36, 15. It's over 100 trees is the required count.
Inclusive of canopy.
Correct. So to answer your question, John, we needed the tree calculation and the formula to be added and updated based off of that discussion of including invasives because those count towards the formula.
Yeah. So
We needed the hazard tree report, which was submitted shortly after the meeting. Before the meeting?
Yeah, I think you.
I mean, yeah, it was submitted. I can dig through
Sure,
the emails
okay.
after this meeting and find out.
Sure.
This sent.
Sure.
The township report.
Well, no, we asked Michael Dunn on that meeting to update that and submit. So, yeah. he did
Right,
that.
so we received
So
Michael
you
Dunn's,
received the additional paperwork that you asked for.
sure, the required
The required little
application by the
form,
township.
Application form, exactly.
Sure.
So that has been sent,
The hazardous report is on the township's application?
should be.
It's not just the report that Michael Dunn submitted?
No, it's the additional.
It's another
pa-
form- it's
the
another
additional
application.
specific township paperwork that you asked for
All
last
right,
time.
okay, we'll look for it.
Okay, thank you.
So anyway, I wish there was more trees going in the property like everybody
Yeah.
else, and I think you probably would too.
Honestly, yeah.
on
I
my
mean, there's-
property,
There's
they're
some
going
of that
by
as
the
well.
ordinance.
As a landscape architect, designer, I've been doing this 25 years too. There are just some projects where we have to
Can't
be
win.
pragmatic and try and be creative and, the understory and the herbaceous layer and the grasses, it's all native. It's currently not. So, and the shrub layer. So, there's sort of small victories.
So I will say, section 263-8, C3, the Shade Tree Commission shall approve or disapprove each heritage tree permit application in accordance with this chapter. So, there is a sense of protection around heritage trees that we can say yes or
Yeah.
no to.
Understood.
And there is one of those
Mhm.
that is on site. I would push for this commission, to make a contingency of saving that 30-inch tree, at least as a first step, and then possibly go on site with
I think
John and
that's what
yourself.
it probably needs at this point. Like you said, Mike and John and I
Mhm.
can go and hang out and
Talk trees.
talk
Um,
trees.
That 30-inch tree, just for the record, could you point that out on your plans?
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I think there's certainly a way to keep this if we push the lawn plan.
I mean,
Again, you know, sort of requesting that and client's prerogative and all that fun stuff. I mean, you know, we kept the grove down here, so, I mean.
in that visualization you have, that 30-inch tree, could you point to where that would be?
It would be in this.
In that
this
grove?
stand here.
Okay. Yeah. Would you be willing to bend the rule, not bend the rules, bend the homeowner's plans a bit to save that tree?
Well, I can't
Sure,
approve
sure.
that, correct? Okay, so
Sure.
what I am willing to do is, of course, talk to them and see if we can adjust that if they're willing to make concessions for that tree. And, you know, I'll put the argument forth, and
Sure.
that's what I can do, for sure.
Okay.
I can't make them drink the water.
Sure, understood. But I would imagine if that grove is being saved anyways, I wouldn't see why not. They wouldn't mind
Yeah, so the grove
saving
being
that
saved
30-inch.
is this right here in the corner.
Mm-hmm.
We do have some grading work in order to fit a stormwater system in.
Yep, move your plans up just
Oh,
a
I'm
little
sorry.
bit so we can see it. There
Thank
we
you.
go.
So the grove that is being saved currently is this
Mhm.
down here in this corner, and then this tree, and then everything you see that doesn't have the extra, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Now, because there is grading activity that's going to have to happen in here in order to install the stormwater system, which is required. And there's only one place it can go because this is the low spot. So there could be some finessing of the layout of the stormwater system, things like that.
Sure.
So that can be.
Yeah,
out.
I mean, I'd rather attempt to,
Exa-
right,
so that-
exactly,
okay,
yep.
And that's absolutely fine.
Yep, okay.
Like I say, I can have those conversations.
Sure, okay. Any other comments?
So let's do this. So you'll speak with your client.
Yeah.
Feedback on the commission would like to see as many canopy trees saved as possible.
Saved, well, of course, saved as possible. I think the goal is, let's save this heritage. That's the directive.
That is the directive. I mean, you can hear them. They want some canopy trees. You heard the public.
Yeah, understood.
We'll meet on site with Michael Dunn, walk through, see what we can do, and then we'll report back to the commission based on our findings.
Okay.
Does that work for you?
Yeah, I mean, that works for us. I mean, you guys have got to approve the grading plan anyway, but I think at this point, that's probably going to have to change anyway. So that's a resubmission of the grading plan. Which,
So, as far as a motion is concerned, I think from a within your right perspective, it sounds like we have all of the information that we need. We have the verification of the 2 dead trees. The hazard tree report was submitted. And we discussed the heritage tree. So as far as what I would propose, and anyone can step in and revise the motion or make a different motion. But I would motion that we approve contingent upon all trees that are under heritage size and verification of the hazard tree report and the walkthrough with John, the arborist, and yourself to see if there's any other trees that can be saved. And personally, if that isn't the motion that we want to move forward with, if we moved forward with a motion of approving all of these trees with the 30-inch inclusive, I would vote no for this. We're within right of
Yeah, because of
denying
the-
heritage,
because of
which
deny
is
the
part of the
heritage. Okay.
project, right?
Okay. So it sounds like either way, we're keeping the heritage regardless. That's the long and short of it.
Sure. So the first motion that I had proposed, is there any commentary around that?
The question about.
Put your mic on.
Sorry. Yeah, I just want to clarify, is it still then approved contingent upon those things happening, and he does not have to reappear? That's my question.
I mean, that would be the idea, correct?
Okay.
I mean, any documentation that comes from a site visit, like a report, can easily be emailed and added to, you know,
Okay.
But
So I would want
if that's a
mention that
request.
he doesn't,
And we would,
can be satisfied the other way without reappearing.
sure, and let's say, John, and you do the site visit, and you do revise the plans, and you include more canopy trees. I'm sure you would get those plans to us, we could take a look at them.
Yeah, I mean,
But I wanna
exactly,
make
they
sure,
can be emailed,
Our commission's duty is to make a decision based on the ordinance. So I don't want to make a decision based off of something that, inevitably will not be the right decision. We all love trees, and per the Conservancy's commentary, there are some revisions to the ordinance that I think would help prevent something like this that we need to take a look at. And highly encourage, the neighbors in that area and also the homeowners to really think about, the big change that they will be making to this landscape, especially on a street named Tall Oaks Road. So motions A and B that I had described, are we more comfortable with motion A, with taking the heritage tree out of the equation as a contingency?
What
Head
was
nods.
option B again? Repeat.
Option B was keeping the heritage tree in, and I would vote no.
Keeping it.
It's essentially both the same thing, but one is a yes and one is a no,
Sure.
right?
It is.
That's.
It is.
Technically.
So how about this? I'll make a motion, we'll see how the votes pan out.
Mhm.
So I will make a motion to approve contingent upon saving the 30-inch heritage, a site visit being performed, possibly more canopy trees being planted, regardless, a fee in lieu of for those 66 trees that we had discussed, and all documentation that is required to be submitted and reviewed by the township.
Would a
Do I-
member of the commission want to join us when we do our walk?
Yeah, let us know when that happens, and
Yep.
we can elect one or two folks to not create a quorum
Got it.
and make that happen. Do I have a second?
If I understand you correctly, I think so.
All in favor? Aye. So we have 1, 2, 3 yeses, 1 abstain, 1, 2, 3 noes. Okay.
James, you back in?
I can't.
I know, I'm joking with you.
I know.
So we're at a stalemate, 3, 3, and 1. So what we'll need to do is regroup internally. I'm sure there will be some conversations that need to happen.
Yeah, Seth, can I say something?
Sure,
I think
by all
I
means.
really just want to hear the report of the field site. I think that would make me more comfortable voting yes if I can't be there, or if I could be there, great.
Yeah,
If I
join us.
can't, depends on when you do it. Don't go around my schedule. I would like to hear John's thoughts on this
Sure.
before I make a decision. I think that's my holdup here.
I agree to that, too. I'd like
Sure.
to see what he finds and get a better picture of this and have us discuss it
So,
off, because I think there's still some
Sure.
serious issues.
so I think that vote stands on the motion, and what we could do next month, is revote based off of everything that has happened. We'll have to clarify if that's the correct process, given where we are with the documents being sent to the township and possible revisions. And we'll see you soon. Okay?
That's the plan.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Just the tip, because apparently it seems like nobody has the hazard report from Dunn. I don't, maybe if you could
The
read it.
original
Yeah.
25-page report.
Yeah.
that was submitted.
That's in the agenda packet.
Oh, so you guys do have it?
We
Oh,
have
okay.
that.
They got it.
I think it's just
I thought,
the hazard tree report,
gotcha.
right?
So you guys need to find that, and
We'll get it squared away.
um,
Can we just say for the record, anything that needs to be resent is going to what address, just so everybody hears the same thing?
Trish typically takes, Trish has taken any submissions and divided it and sent it however is deemed necessary by your internal processes. So I could continue that route unless there's a specific direct email you need it to go to. But we also need to confirm what is exactly needed, right? There's no clarification on that from our point. It's like, go out and have a look. What do I need to change? Right?
Sure.
We don't have clarification on that either.
Sure.
So we're still
Just didn't want to
hanging out.
delay the process unnecessarily, so I wanted to have that
Okay.
clarity at least amongst everybody here. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we have a late addition to the new grading permits. 427 Woodland, did I get that right? Midland, got it. Good evening. So we will get this on a revised agenda. Thank you. And actually, do you mind, you can just unfold it on the table and we'll look at it and review it? Correct. It was recently submitted, and so for the record, we need your name, we need your address, and if you could just outline what has been submitted to the township thus far, and then also we'll talk trees. So I'll remind you if you forget any of that, but by all means.
Mayur Patel, resident at 427 Midland Avenue, Wayne, PA.
If you could speak into the mic, thank you.
Mayur Patel, resident at 427 Midland Avenue, the homeowner. We are adding a pool to the house as well as adding a pool house with a patio right next to it, right over here. This is the existing structure right over here. And this is the pool that we're adding, and proposed building and proposed roof patio. So we don't have any tree removal here at the time. I mean, there's no.
Understood. And you had submitted a grading permit?
Yes.
Okay, and the township has that?
Yes.
When was that submitted?
It was there, Seth. Trish just forgot to put it on the agenda. It was in her file.
1/23/2024.
Got it. Understood. So one thing that we look for, even if any trees are not being removed, is the existing trees and tree protection. So it looks like on the plan that you have there, it's that black line with circles. Is that accurate?
Talking about these guys?
Maybe not. No.
So we have around 59 or 58 arborvitae trees that go along the whole perimeter of this thing right now, and
Why don't you start with walking us through your egress? How are you getting construction equipment, labor, and everything to the area?
Oh, sure. It's just coming straight through the driveway,
Okay.
right over here,
Yeah.
right in through there,
So,
and through back here.
right off the bat, as you just denoted with your finger, this 18-inch tree, obviously protection is going to need to be, protect that tree from any construction materials, activity, anything working underneath. Obviously, that tree is off the macadam. It's going to be protected in that sense. But you still need to make sure people are not going in and storing equipment, everything underneath the canopy of that tree.
Yeah, I don't think we have a need to store any.
It doesn't matter. It still needs to be protected by our ordinance.
If you could clarify, what do you mean by protection?
So fencing, visible signage saying, hey, this is a protected tree.
Oh, sure, we could put that up.
Do you have another sheet that might show it? Or are they all the same?
Show what, the tree?
Protection.
Yeah, your engineer.
We do not, I could have them just add that on there. I mean, I didn't.
Denoting the tree protection schedule in there.
Yeah, we could have them add that on there. I didn't realize that.
Okay.
And we need to know what type of tree it is.
It's a pine tree.
Yeah, I totally understand. It just needs to be on the plan.
Yeah, okay.
So we talked to egress and the area in the back of the property where all of the work is being done. Outside of all the arborvitae, are there any other trees back there? It doesn't look like there are?
No, we don't have any trees on the property.
Okay.
The only tree we have is this big tree, and there's a tree right here, a maple tree on that.
Sure. On your grading permit plan, does it indicate how much dirt is being removed and/or staying on site? It should be indicated towards the top somewhere. Yeah. And if you could put that underneath the, there we go.
Taken off-site.
You have better eyes than I do, Jen. So what are the total numbers?
These would have never gotten past Sue.
Thank you, Ian.
These
Zooming in.
applications would have never got past Sue Jones.
Okay. So, that's interesting. Estimated cubic yards of dirt excavated, NA. But this is a pool, correct?
Yeah. New pool.
Right. So, and this was approved, this grading permit?
The zoning was approved for it, but
They're
This is-
here to
this,
get
yeah, I have
tree
to get this approval
for-
to get the
For
approval.
grading permit. That's why they're here, is to get approval for the grading permit.
Sure.
And just another correction, it says fill soil will be taken off-site, but you have a stockpile on the actual site. Right.
Sorry, I didn't do these plans. The engineer did it. Couldn't make it tonight. Where are you reading that?
On the plans, Ian, if you don't mind zooming out, thank you. So there's a stockpile indicated. Was it on? It might
It's
have
on the
been
other plan, it's on the other plan.
On the other sheet?
Yep.
Sorry.
So right there, right behind the hashed mark, it says 6-inch filter sock and topsoil.
Yep.
Filter sock with topsoil, yep.
That TS with a circle? Yep. So that means unless it's being spread around site, do you know if that's?
No, we don't have intention of keeping that topsoil there. That needs to go because it's obviously, there's a
Sure.
decking right in front of it.
Sure.
It would make sense.
I think with in the ordinance, it says when you're hauling stuff away, you have to take the topsoil and place it in one spot, and then you put the fill dirt in another one. So that's maybe why they put topsoil, to finish the grading around it, possibly.
Yeah. Right.
So Seth, where we see the proposed rock construction entrance down on the bottom, I'm assuming vehicles come in on the driveway to get to that spot.
Right,
So
yeah.
that's going to be heavy stuff going past that tree.
Mhm.
So it's,
Yeah, and that's where John had mentioned to update the plans to indicate protection, but also compaction's going to be a
I think you need some
problem.
mats. I think you need the mats James talks about all the time.
So,
Because you're driving right over the roots. Right?
as a homeowner, just so you understand, that pine tree that's right by the drive, if you have dump trucks and equipment, running in and out of your driveway, you're going to start compacting. And if you want to make sure that you save that tree, your builder or your local tree company, they make mats that help with distributing the weight. Thank you. So it's not necessarily a requirement, but it's, if you want to make sure that.
I'll take that up with the pool company
Yep.
to make sure.
Sounds
Because
good.
we don't want them to break the driveway anyway, if it's compact,
Right,
we're using that
exactly.
driveway.
Yep. Okay. Any other comments from the commission?
This may be a dumb question, but could you get your equipment in there through the commercial properties in your backyard?
No, there's like a wall over there, a stone wall. On the back side, right here,
Yeah,
there's a stone wall there, so we would not be able to get a truck over there, and this side is fenced off
like
to
made out of
paper
cinder,
patch
a
of the
cinder
park.
block wall?
It's the stone, it's like
The stone, okay.
a granite stone that's the same as the house, it's back
Okay.
there.
Okay.
We could use this side right here as well, I mean, there's plenty of space on that other side of the yard.
As far as getting equipment in and out?
Yeah,
Yeah, you'd be surprised how much of a mess that makes.
I'm
Yeah.
not a pro, but I was like, if
Yeah.
we need to use the other side.
Yeah, use your driveway. Just make sure we get some protection and mats around that tree, I think.
I'll make sure that he gets that done.
Yeah.
You may
So
have a new driveway at the end of this.
No.
Come over to Pembroke Avenue, 209 Pembroke. He's putting those big mats down, and it's still tearing the property up like you wouldn't believe. He's going to have landscaping like you wouldn't believe.
Okay, I'll make sure, I don't know how heavy of
That's
equipment
just
they're bringing
advice,
back there,
just-
but I'll make sure to let them know.
So we just have the two trees that need to be denoted on the plan with species, size, condition, and then protection for those two trees as well.
Right. Any public comment?
I'm not sure in terms of the impervious type of material that you're using for the pool. Is that approved for stormwater? I mean, that's, okay.
We did that in the zoning already. It's
Okay,
already done.
okay. Because it just seems like the whole pool is as big as the house and the patio around it.
We're 27.7%, we're 30.5%,
Okay,
so we're about 5%.
okay. It's just a lot of loss of natural percolation, especially in that area where there's a lot of flooding going on. Okay, I just was curious.
Sorry, Jess. Thank you.
Any other comment? Okay, so I will make a motion to approve contingent upon updating the plans to indicate tree protection, species, and size of tree. Do I have a second? All in favor? Aye. All right, thank you so much. Good luck with your project. Okay. Moving on to old business. So quick update on the tree maintenance pilot plan and program and project, whatever you want to call it. So we are officially wrapped up with Hartford, the Willows, and Radnor Chester. We did have our arborist go out and visit the sites, and I think everyone's happy with the work that was done, which is awesome. What we need to do is get out of pilot mode and start talking about this year, the planned parks, and what we want to put into place so that this just happens on a regular basis year after year. I don't have anything prepared for this evening, and I don't think we necessarily need to vote on anything, but just wanted to provide that quick update. And one last thing before I open it up for any discussion around it, which is because we did clean up the willows down by the picnic table area, that is where we will be planting for the spring planting as a riparian buffer. So we have a earmarked 30 total trees for down there, so we can decide once the time comes if we want 15 on one side, 15 on the other side, or whatever makes the most sense. So we'll walk that area. So any questions, comments around the maintenance pilot?
So now that the pilot is over, we're going to have a report saying we're successful?
Yes, so the plan is, just within the past couple of weeks is when everything got officially wrapped up. So what I want to do is to wait until things bud out to kind of show before and after, and really put together a nice report of what happened. And then obviously the next steps will be that money that we got earmarked last year to do the maintenance pilot, we're going to need to do the same formalized process this year as well. And obviously, providing evidence that everything was a success is, advantageous for us to do. So that is the plan. And we'll plan to, do a maintenance program for some net new parks, but then in addition, we'll monitor the parks that did get maintenance, and, if they need to be hit once a year, every other year, whatever it may be, every park's different, every area is different, so we'll have to evaluate that. But my plan is, we're just gonna have a simple table, and we'll list all the parks or areas, public areas, and we'll just tabulate how often these parks get hit and prioritize appropriately and just make it as mechanized as we can. Sound good?
So we would be part of the next budget cycle for Radnor? If we want to do it again,
Yeah, so,
and we want more than we got in the past because it's so successful.
so I will say, we came drastically under our estimate from what we thought it was gonna cost.
Uh-huh.
So, not to speak for the township, but I think we shouldn't have an issue earmarking what we need to for this year. But TBD. So we'll formalize a plan, formalize the success of the pilot, and then in a future meeting, we'll discuss the specifics and then get that on the books.
Was it earmarked, it wasn't earmarked with the 2024 budget, right?
Not specifically, but I'm assuming we will not have an issue. The understanding was that this program, providing its success, would continue. And part of the future of the pilot, to make sure that it is permanent, I think we touched on this last meeting, which is getting into the ordinance a line item that specifically says something to the effect that we will do maintenance on an annual basis. So it's kind of a chicken before the egg kind of thing, but I think, everything's in motion, and everything went well. We learned a lot, and I think this is going to be a great program. Great. Yay. Yeah, great. And thank you to John and Ricky and everybody else involved that helped us along the way to make sure things were on track. Cool. So spring planting. So this past Monday night, the BOC approved our funds for the 80 trees, which is awesome. So now we can talk some logistics and planning. So we historically opened up registration, and let me bring up the email that I just sent off to Frank the other day. 319. So the planting will be, we get the trees, what was it, April 17th, I believe, around there. And the park planting is earmarked for April 20th. So the goal is to open up registration for the 50 residents to sign up March 19th, so a month before planting. The reason why we do that is so that the people that sign up, let's say we were to do it 3 months in advance, they don't forget about that they actually signed up. It's closer to the time of planting. No guarantees. And we've also, through the powers of social media, as soon as we open up registration, it is immediately filled within, like 3 to 4 days, if not less. So we don't have any issues needing to have registration open for a long time. So that's the goal with registration, so stay tuned on that. I'll put together the standard flyer that we have Molly post, and we'll have the Google form for resident registration. And as far as locking in who will be helping us plant from our tree service volunteer partners, I'm still working on finalizing who that will be, but stay tuned. And we'll likely have the township help us plant a few, but not too many. But we will have them dig us some holes at the willows to help us plant and just drop trees in the ground. So any questions or thoughts on the resident planting and the 50 trees? Does that all make sense? Cool. Now the 30 in the parks, just a quick update there. So Frank, Kristen, the Conservancy, we've all been kind of discussing around the best way to have people sign up and get a waiver digitally signed versus having to worry about the paper situation, and let's save some trees at the same time. So I think we have a good solution. We just need to get a buy-off. Basically, we took the township waiver, digitized it, it's doing the same exact thing. We just need to run it by the township to make sure that that will suffice in addition to the PHS waiver. So as soon as that's ready, we can obviously open that up whenever, and then we can send that over your way, Jen, to get all of your students to fill that out. And in regards to planting at the willows, I know one action item that we had last time was to reach out just to double check to see if there were any events that Saturday. I don't know that that has happened yet. Do you mind, Frank? Thank you. So we'll reach out to Will Nord and make sure. We'll be away from most activity, hopefully. So hoping that date will be available. So providing that it is available, it would be April 20th, 9 a.m., which is when we typically meet. We'll do our standard demo planting. We'll have the township drop off tools and all of the equipment and everything. Luckily, we have a creek right there we can grab water from to do our initial waterings, and we'll plant some trees. One note that I just thought of, which is deer protection. So we have 50 of the mesh protection that we're switching to away from the corrugated pipe. So we have 50 of those that we'll use for the resident plantings. We just need to procure another 30, if not more. We could probably stockpile some. Do you?
Check to see how much and let you know this week
Okay.
or next week.
Send us an invoice.
Just need to get rid of them.
Sounds good. We will graciously take them. So I think that covers off on the park planting, but any other thoughts on the park planting? Make
Yeah,
sense?
one thought maybe, and I don't want to, if anybody wants to, I think you have a list of trees, Frank?
Yeah, we have the list,
If-
and it's been,
If somebody wanted to volunteer, and if we took that list, and you said we're planting some next to as a riparian buffer.
Mhm.
So if somebody wants to look at that list and see which trees would be best suited for that area, you'd be a good candidate.
Yeah, I'll do that. Yes.
And
Well,
then
if
that
have
way, I
the-
think it'll
the
save
list,
us time.
Yes.
Save us time that morning instead of running around with stuff.
And what we should do is coordinate with Ledgerton and John, if you want to tag along, Ricky, whoever wants to tag along, and we'll
And I
get
don't know if you know the site.
species and spots marked.
You know the willows, Jen?
I've been there, but not to this picnic area, so I'm going to check it out.
Yeah, perfect, cool.
Cool. Any other thoughts, questions?
I just have a question from the Nova side. Is there a number that is too many students?
I want to say no, but how many are you thinking?
Well, I don't know. It's now out for 3 different groups
Okay.
within the STEM fields.
So I think our number that has worked in the past is 1-to-1. So we're planting 30 trees. So as long as we have a minimum of 30 people, I think any more than 2 people per tree gets a little crazy. So I think if we have more than 60 people, there might not be an opportunity to help plant a tree because there's too many people.
Okay. I don't think we'll get 60. I'm thinking I got to reserve vans from
Yeah,
the
sure.
university too. So.
But if you can get us all 30,
yeah, well, I
that
might
would
be able
be-
to do that.
no, we do want to save spots for residents.
we do. We
Okay?
do.
And we also have some goodwill to Shriner, who always
Absolutely,
provides
yep.
some volunteers, so 30, 20 would be nice. We had 20 Accenture people last time.
Right.
That worked, filled it out nicely.
But what we could propose, Jen, is if you get more than 30 people, maybe we say, hey, we'll take 20, but in the fall, the rest of you can help. And it's not like they can't come and hang out, but we are there to plant trees at the same time.
More bagels.
Yeah, we have an Earth Week, and we include a day of service, and that people are very stoked about this being a day
Love
of
it.
service, so.
Right, cool.
Absolutely love it.
Could we buy more trees?
At this point, no.
Spade, yeah.
No, from a different vendor.
We could, and I will say, I do have, so the plug trees that I got from the Rosemont Park Contact and Initiative, I have roughly 30 of those left over. So it could be a good opportunity. We would just need to get the tubes, which isn't a huge deal. So maybe we do that. There's a bunch of species-wise. There's scarlet oaks. There are birches. Yeah, I think there were some sycamores. So I think all of those, you know, could be some good choices for around that area.
Don't expect me to plant.
I'm not asking, James. Luckily, I mean, those plug trees are super easy to plant. It's the biggest thing with those is the protection to make sure that they don't get mowed over, stomped on, and whatever else. So, great.
One other thing,
Yes.
it's an opportunity. Since this is a riparian project in the Willows, and DCNR has some money, if we could come up with, and I'm looking at John and others, if we can come up with a plan for that area, they will pay, the county or the state will pay 75% of whatever that project costs. We have to come up with the other 25%. It sounds like we just did by having our bare root trees. So if we have a plan, that would involve not only maybe additional trees, but also some shrubbery.
Right. Some understory stuff.
Yeah, on both sides of the creek. So I'd be willing to kind of run that as a complementary project.
Okay. So there are definitely some opportunities on the table that I've been backed up with. So that would be super helpful, Frank. I can toss, I think most of those you probably have been copied on, but I can send over what you might not have been copied on.
Sure.
But that would be great if you could lead that charge. Thank you. And anyone else who wants to help Frank out at the same time. Fantastic. Anything else on old business? Okay. New business. So I think, you know, tonight was a good reinvigoration on a couple of hot topics when it comes to the ordinance updates. So, you know, we do have in our goals to revisit that this year. And I think that the biggest one that is low-hanging fruit is today we don't specifically say the replacement monetary amount. It's more of a discretion. I think now's the time to get that officially in the ordinance and also increase the amount. And we have a lot of good data on how much it costs to get a tree in the ground. And I think there should be some, you know, amount on top of that, just for the simple fact of the effort that it takes to coordinate all of this. So that's, I think, item one. Item two would be, you know, what do we do about what happened this evening? And I know there's been proposals in regards to, you know, percent canopy retained and some other things. We also have to make sure we're being fair as we're looking at these ordinance updates at the same time. And also, you know, there's plenty of, we did the research when we were updating the, or going through to update the ordinance in regards to local township tree ordinances and comparing, what we had, and I know the Conservancy has.
Seth, we could also do a
Sure.
not to exceed number on the fee in lieu of.
We
Which
could.
will, obviously not give them accessibility just to pay for everything. You know what I mean? Their canopy structure still has to be planted. They're
Mhm.
allowed to pay a fee in lieu of to a certain percentage.
Sure, right. I like that thought. So there's an offer on the table with the Conservancy to meet and talk around the ordinance, which I do want to do. So, we need to find a good time to make that happen. And we'll start picking away at some updates. So again, thank you for always supporting and sharing your voice. Much appreciated. New business. I will not be here next meeting. James, you got the hot seat. And Jen, I think you have some outages on upcoming meetings, remind me?
May is my upcoming
May,
one. yeah.
okay. Anyone else have any plans, outages coming up, just so we're all on the same page? April, that's right. Okay, so I think we'll be covered. The 27th, yeah, I believe it's the 27th. Yep. So I think as far as approvals and everything, we're good to make the spring planting happen. So there's no need to worry on voting on anything next meeting, but just a heads up. Any other new business? Great.
Just one thing,
Yep.
one announcement really. A fellow tree lover, landscaper from Radnor is going to be the Grand Marshal of the St. Patrick's Day Parade. So since we won't be here for St. Pat until afterwards, everybody should watch.
I love it. This wouldn't happen to be yourself, would it?
No.
Okay, all right. I love it. I love it. You'd be surprised, James. We touched on annual goals. So tree plantings, spring and fall, ordinance updates, collaboration, all good. Moving on to hazardous trees. So I did take a quick peek through the reports. I didn't see anything that stuck out. Everything looked dead. But John, do you have any comments on the hazardous tree reports that came across?
These were just standard. Obviously, we had a couple cedars, there was an oak. Are we talking about the Radnor trees removed by the township or the ones that
The
I approved?
homeowners.
The homeowners?
Yep.
Yeah, there was a lot of ash on that list. I think we had one dead oak, and then Radnor Crossing Apartments, these were trees that were like almost growing out of the building, so. Just your standard, nothing crazy.
Understood. And trees removed by Radnor Township, any highlights there?
Nope, everything was fine. Just to highlight the one at Clemmer-Crone, we had a resident that was concerned about some trees being hazardous possibly towards his property. So after going out, Steve Ledgerton met John and saw that all of those trees were on the park side, right behind where that retention basin was. So all of them were ash. So after John looked at them and found out what they were, we removed them. And also there was a dead hemlock that was not too far from that area that was also thrown in with that lot.
Understood.
Can I ask one question here? The street trees that are removed, can the township plant more, or do the residents have to agree to it in the right of way?
Technically, we are allowed to plant, do something in the right of way, but
Okay.
we would, for resident relations, we
You
would
would
probably
ask them
talk to
first
them
and see?
first. Yeah.
Because I was wondering if, in the future, maybe we look at some of these trees, because like 40-inch tree, if it's right on the road, maybe in another planting, they might not be contacting us for a free tree. If we could set up a program where we could maybe start replacing some of these trees. Would you see a problem with that, Ricky?
No, I think that would be fine. We would just have to have the resident contact information. We have all the addresses where we take the trees down at. We would just have to contact the residents because some don't want a tree put back there.
Yeah, understood, yeah.
So you know, we would have to make sure they're fine with that going back. And just for the record, I guess we could talk about it after, Seth, once we're done talking about this, you know, bring up Pico coming to town.
Yeah, sure, definitely. Wanted to talk about that. I like the idea. I think we'll have to figure out the logistics of that. I've always thought about, here comes the rain, having a sign-up open all year round for instances like this, but it's a double-edged sword because that example earlier of, let's say we got someone to say yes 6 months ago, but now, you know, a month before planting, we'll have to reach back out to them to see if they do in fact. So it doesn't sound like a lot of additional, but running these plantings every spring and fall, you'd be surprised the amount of emails, calls, and everything else. So I just want to be cognizant of that too. So, you know, I think we would need someone to help volunteer and facilitate that part of it, but I'm all for it. And correct me if I'm wrong, but we most times grind the stumps too, right, Ricky?
Yeah, as long as it's not in an area that's on a slope that would erode the soil.
Right.
If it's flat, then we'll take the stump with us.
Right.
That's always part of it.
So obviously we wouldn't replant a tree right where the old tree was, but close to it. Right, right. Okay. Any other comments on the trees removed? Ricky, you want to run us through Pico?
Well, residents have been getting letters. I'll say it like that. And Pico is not under any type of obligation to notify the township that this is happening. But what we have had a chance to do, because some of these areas that the arborists who are contracted by Pico, some of these arborists have been notifying us about trees on township property. So they do have to come to us. So we've been able to have John brought in, and he's verified some of these locations. But when it comes to a tree on a resident property, they don't have to notify the township. So for any resident that is hearing this, we had a resident that came to the BOC meeting on Monday that actually brought to the commissioner's attention and your attention, Seth, and also to my attention. It was a tree that was within the township right away, but it was on his property, and it was flagged to be removed. It is an ash tree, but it has been under his care and a tree company's care to be treated. So after notifying me of the situation, we reached out to the arborist from Davy Tree, and all he needed was basically the resident approval to say that we didn't want the tree touched, and it was that simple. They backed off. So as far as getting a written, it never made it that far because it only needs to be conferred to me and also to the resident, and then that arborist also makes sure that it doesn't go any further. So it wouldn't go to Asplin, who is the tree company that they would use to remove the tree. But we did send that notification also. So just for any resident that does remove anything, please rest assured you can always reach out to the township, and you do have time to react to that letter you're given. Even though it says on the letter you have 5 days, that's just a formality. We talked to a representative from Pico. They do have to say that, but they will not act within that time. They do want the resident to have a say-so, and they can have a say-so. But all of this tree trimming or removal, the arborist does make an opinion on what it is. And a lot of these trees, we have the reports, John looked at it, they will tell you exactly what is wrong with the tree if there is something wrong with it. With that ash tree that I'm speaking of, there was nothing that was mentioned in there. It was just because it's an ash tree, which
Right.
Normally when we call John, even for trees in the township, we just mention ash. He doesn't even have to come out and look. It's just those trees, unless they're being treated, they can't be saved.
Right.
So this was different in this case, but for most of the trees that are other species, they will tell you in the report what's wrong with it. So we have John that'll come out if it's on township property, but that's the synopsis from what we've heard so far. And all 4 of the arborists that are being used, I've reached out to them. We're all on an email chain, so they can reach out anytime if there's any issues. And please, any residents who are hearing this and see the meeting, please feel free to reach out to Public Works if you have any concerns.
Thank you, Ricky. And just to add a couple of notes to that, so at the end of the day, Pico has to notify the property owner, right? That's what it comes down to. So whether it's township property or resident property, but they don't have to notify that.
They don't have to notify, but they have.
They happen, right.
As a courteous.
Right, and I know Steve Norsini dug into this back in 2021. I found an email, and we over time established a great relationship with PICO and the tree companies that do the work for PICO. But as we know, the PUC, the Public Utility Commission, they essentially have eminent domain around the wires to make sure that utilities stay active and people have power and everything else they need. So there are cases where a tree might need to be removed, and it does get removed based on their rights. But to Ricky's point, before anything is ever touched on anybody's property, a letter is sent, and they do their best effort to contact the property owner. So.
And just remember, a lot of this is stemming from them doing pole extensions, putting in larger poles, more poles. So it's not just trees within the utility interface. I mean, they're doing a lot of interface improvements,
right?
Structural improvements.
And one last thing to add is PICO has in the past and continues to donate money and time and effort to replant trees. So it's not like they don't care about trees. Obviously, they have a mission to provide people with livable means through utilities, so we'll give them that.
And Seth,
yes.
with that kudos that you just gave to PICO, the representative just reached out a day or two ago, and they will be donating 120 trees. Some of those will also be donated to the township for us to plant, but they will be doing a tree giveaway in the township. But the next meeting, I'll have all the specifics. It'll be different species, but we'll have that. We'll have the park location where this will be happening. But for right now, it's just the beginning stages. We just solidified that we will accept this offer.
Yeah, that
today.
is fantastic news. Great. Thank you, Ricky.
One other thing, Seth, I was in Ithan Elementary where PICO did a project in that neighborhood, and they donated 5 or 6 trees.
Good.
I took a picture of a sycamore that we planted, and it's like 25 feet now.
Oh, wow.
So
That's great. Good.
I took the picture yesterday. It looks awesome.
Good. Good. Yeah, and I would say, if there are still any concerned residents out there, I think we have a great relationship between the township and PICO, but as far as any changes to our ordinance, they would be superseded by the PUC and PICO, and I think it's fair the way it's in place today, but really this is above what we're able to do in the township, and that's where, if there are any concerns, reaching out to our constituents at the state level, especially Representative Borowski has been a great partner with us, so any concerns could be sent to her. By all means, can copy us, but things would have to change kind of higher up on the ladder if we wanted to see anything different. But that's all I will say about that. Any other thoughts? Any public participation?
Hey, Ricky, I think that's tremendous that you're in touch with PICO and helping people out. I would love to see that information out on the website and in Radnor Township social media channels, because I've lived here 25 years, and generally they just come and chop my trees in any which way. And, I would have loved to know that in years past. So I think I think it's tremendous, and I want all the residents who can take advantage of it to have the information. And this is just some thoughts I have with respect to Christina Peters, 429 King of Prussia Road, with respect to shade tree ordinance, and just for thinking about while we're getting ready to talk some more, that dollar figure for fee in lieu, I think should go up, and I think it should go up according to what kind of tree is being taken down, right? If you want to take down your Norway maple, God bless, right? But if you're taking down a big old oak and there's nothing wrong with it, and you just want to put your stormwater feature there, no. I would love to see the stormwater regulation be more interconnected with what we're trying to do here, because we're seeing both on homeowner properties, commercial properties, and even township properties, we're taking out trees and functioning wetlands to put in stormwater management. And those stormwater management systems are always going to underperform because what they're picking up, it doesn't take into account what the carrying capacity of the land was before, right? I mean, if you're taking out a wetland to put stormwater management, you're not going to get the net benefit that you will if you're taking out asphalt and putting stormwater management under that and putting parking back on top. So I'd love to see some interconnection between what we're doing on stormwater and shade tree in both ordinances. On hazardous trees, I'd love to see kind of more explicit questions being asked about, does this tree pose a hazard? And if so, can it be made safe? Are we taking down whole trees under hazardous tree when we could really be taking off some branches? I don't love it that homeowners can say, oh, I haven't taken care of this tree and now it's sick and so I get off, or now it's got some wonky branches and now I benefit from that. I don't love incentivizing that kind of behavior. So I'd like to see, maybe some fees for taking down hazardous trees in the future, if and under certain circumstances that we can think about. And I'd also like some of these fees to go to maintenance, right? I mean, it's all very well and good to say we're going to plant trees elsewhere, but it's not the same, right? If we have all the trees in one place and we have no trees in other places, that doesn't give the township the benefit of the canopy preserving goals of this ordinance. So why don't we take some money and take all the English ivy off the trees in the rights of way around Radnor? Right? I mean, that's a thing that we could do to preserve canopy in a proactive, pro-homeowner and distributed way. I mean, I sometimes I feel like getting out my pruning shears and my heavy gloves on my own. Tree maintenance fines. Oh, parking lot trees. We are really good at asking developers for commercial projects and residential developments to put in some more trees. I'd like to see us have some more direct guidance about what kinds of trees are preferred and also have online resources for homeowners. I mean, I know that there are a lot of people who are just afraid of big canopy trees. What they might not be thinking of is that, a sycamore can get pretty big pretty fast, but there are plenty of really slow-growing canopy trees that are not going to bother anybody until we're all dead. So, I think that might give people some peace of mind about planning what will be a big tree, what'll be somebody else's problem. And then finally, I'd like to see us follow up years down the line because there are a lot of parking lots that don't have the tree coverage that they once did because the trees have died and they haven't been replaced. So that's a pretty straightforward way to get some more canopy coverage in Radnor. Just go to the places where folks planted trees because they had to and make sure they've still got trees there. And if they don't, get on it. So thank you very much. So much appreciate all your efforts and have a great evening.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Just one piece of comment on that in regards to hazard trees. So there are guidelines of which John follows to define what a hazard tree is. So I just want to, for the record, make sure that everyone's aware of, we're not just making judgment calls on whether or not a tree is a hazard or not. There are official guidelines. And John, I don't know if you want to maybe highlight 30 seconds of what some of those guidelines are and what you look for.
Yeah, it's TRAC, which is tree risk assessment based on the RCA and the ISA. And it takes into account all the tribulations and defects associated with that tree along with the target. So, that's your sky-high 2-minute version. I know you're not making it up. Yeah, I'm welcome to meet with you to show it to you. Also, in addition to one of your comments, based on the fee in lieu of, we have to go through the appraisal program, which denotes what the value of that 2.5-inch tree is. So we can't just monetarily make up a number. It has to be set forth by the appraisal value. Yep.
And that's one of the reasons why
Yep,
in the
for each
ordinance,
tree.
it's stated as a discretion. So I think we might have some solicitor challenges on defining a specific number, but I think some of the proposals around a range or to not exceed could be a way to manage that. So, you know, nothing's ever easy, but we'll figure it out.
I just wanted to ask to that, not to talk about it tonight, but I know now we have these great minds on our panel, more great minds. Does that consider sort of the cost over time to cutting down a heritage tree, for example, and the time it would take new tree to reach that DBH again? And do you know what I'm saying? I don't know how that's factored, but
So technically, in the ordinance
Get some students.
specific to heritage trees, it does say replacement DBH to DBH, and one could assess that in a couple different ways. But I do think it's a conversation that we just need to nail down and, you know, run it by the solicitors, see what makes sense. But Ricky, what do you got?
Oh, I just wanted to thank you again for reminding me of the, I forgot to mention about everything getting pushed out on social media. I didn't mention that point, but once everything has been solidified, we will push it out through the township, and they'll also mention that they were going to push it out on the county website, and they're going to talk, she talked about having State Rep Borowski being there to actually give the trees away. So there was more to it. That was just a little tidbit that I gave, but yeah, everything is, whenever we have something in the township, we push it out to everyone.
But I guess your concern was more about the PICO removals. But I think, sure, but I do think PICO, this isn't necessarily an en masse project. It's just it's a random cycle. So I mean, we've gotten enough comments where it might be worth a comms to be sent out, or at least some sort of mention on our shade tree page possibly. But we can talk about that offline to see what makes sense.
One other thing to note is, like John was talking about the tracks on the hazard reports. In the agenda tonight, I think it was with Radnor Crossing Apartments, it does show the arborist that did it actually submitted the tracks report. So it's online too, if you wanted to just take a gander, look at it.
Fantastic. Anything else? All right, I'll make a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second? Aye. Thank you, everyone.